Hi, I'm Cassandra, and I'm going to share with you how to ace your job interview. So at job interviews, it's very important to be punctual because this shows that you're respecting the interviewer and the interviewer's time. Before attending the interview, you need to do some homework, some research. First of all, who are you going to meet? Are you meeting the director? Are you meeting the HR manager, the line manager? So if you have a sensing of who you're going to meet, you can even do some research on these individuals to find out what kind of roles they play. These days there is LinkedIn, there is Facebook. When you find out more about them, when you pitch your skills, your work experience, you're now able to address the particular skill sets that they're looking for. Well, as to strengths and weaknesses question, don't oversell your strengths and don't upsell your weaknesses. Whichever weakness that you pick to mention, it shouldn't jeopardize your job opportunity. If you are a teacher, for example, you shouldn't tell the interviewer that you don't like to talk in front of a group. Whichever weakness that you name, always end off positively by saying you know that this is your weakness and you're working on it, and you have even taken on maybe a course or even a workshop to try and solve the problem, and you are in progress. So a question that you could ask could be, what is the career progression like for this role in your company? This question allows them to see that you do have intention to grow in the company, and perhaps it also allows you to ask what kind of skills that you need to pick up along the way so that you could progress in the company. It's a good question to ask because the employers will then know that, okay, you're someone who is looking to work beyond 2-3 years in the company. You could also say, well, I had a few questions that I prepared while coming for the interview, and in the course of the interview, you have actually answered all my questions. However, if I do have any other questions, would you welcome me to write you an email? And this is very good because it allows you to then write back after the interview to thank them for the interview and also to make that connection again. The shorter a resume and the more concise, the sharper it is, the better. It does make a difference if you were to send in a 2-page resume versus a 6-page resume, because most of the time the recruiters haven't got time to read through your resume. In fact, they glance. So all the clues are found in the job description. As a job seeker, you should read these clues carefully, find out what skills they're looking for. Is there a particular certification that the employer is looking for? So let's say, for example, if you're an accountant or if you're an IT person, do you use MYOB or do you use SAP? Do you use Oracle? If you do, this should be on the first page of your resume under technical skills segment, aside from your core competencies and skills segment. Don't leave it to the second page because the recruiter will be scanning for these keywords from the first page. Essential components in a resume are your personal particulars. And when I mention personal particulars, I'm referring to your name, your contact number, your email address, and your LinkedIn address perhaps. Other significant components that you should include would be your career summary. If you're a fresh graduate, perhaps you want to use an objective, a career objective. If you have been in the workforce for very long, a career summary would suffice. A career summary encapsulates your work experience, how many years you have been working, in which role, which industry. You could include your professional certifications in career summary as well. I usually would encourage job seekers to include a liner at the end to inform the potential employer what job title you're looking for. Also state the technical skills that you have if you are in a technical line. If not, then your core competencies, your skills, and of course, do include your formal education as well, followed by your professional experience. And we usually advise our clients, our job seekers, to do a reverse chronological order, which means the last job to be placed first in your resume. So these are some of the key information that should be in your contract. your name, the company name, the start date, the end date, number of days of leave that you have, medical benefits, probation period. How long will your probation be? What happens if you don't meet the requirements during probation period? Also, you may want to think about the termination clauses. If in an unfortunate circumstances where you are terminated, what happens after you leave the company? Well, salary negotiation is always awkward. For some of us, can be very challenging. Think of it this way. When you are in a salary negotiation process, really it's a time where the employers have found you to be the best candidate. They think you can fit into their company culture and they want to hire you. If what's offered to you is not something that you think you deserve more, use the win-win approach. So what is a win-win approach? It's when you counter offer with a package, with a number that you prefer to have, and you justify why you want to receive this amount. So this really requires a lot of homework to be done before even entering into the negotiation process. So there are many reliable websites that you could use, such as MOM, Ministry of Manpower's website on salary. You could also use other recruiters' websites as well to have a gauge to see what are other people earning out there. People in the same role, people in the same industry. So what is the market rates outside before you benchmark to the salary that you have been offered. If you're not able to find the information online, you need to hang out more with the people in the same industry. Ask questions, ask the folks that are more experienced than you, how much did they get when they were like you, a junior starting out in this industry. So the companies may not be able to offer you the exact number that you need or you want, maybe perhaps due to the economic situation right now. So be a little bit sensitive to this, to the financial situation of the company as well. And you may want to negotiate for the other things aside from salary. You can negotiate for work hours to be shorter. You can also negotiate for leave or allowances if you're experiencing difficulties in your job search. E2I has career coaching services, and we also offer a suite of workshops such as Win the Job series that may help you in your job search. These days, employers won't ask you, what is your strength and weakness? They may not ask you such direct questions. They would ask you, if I were to give your former employer a call, how would they describe you? You'll be answering the question from a third perspective. My employer would say that I'm a hardworking, an industrious, creative person, and perhaps will name you an example of how creative you were when you were perhaps problem solving for an event that your company held. And answering from a third perspective would help.
Do you know what your current employer would say about you?
I think my current employer would think that I'm adventurous, a risk taker, as well as courageous. Let me check with my boss later.